Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I am going tonight. I want to talk about this roadmap to home ownership. I want to share a lot of good information that I think you would find beneficial tonight. And so, as people are starting to come in already, thank you guys so much for joining. Give me a thumbs up in the chat or comment your name so that I can know where you are. I can know that you're on here watching. And while we're doing that, I got one piece of information that I forgot to load up and share. So let me prepare that. All right. I had everything else together, but the one thing that I wanted to share tonight with you, which is my roadmap to real estate planning guide. So thank you guys for coming on in. Again, please drop your name or give me a thumbs up or something in the chat so that I can know that you are on. Good evening. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being on. You got on quick. Amen. Listen, I'm gonna try not to be the preacher me tonight. And all right, but give me just a second. Let me get this last link, and we're gonna be ready. To get on with the information for this evening. So make sure you have something to write with. Make sure you have something to write on because there's going to be a lot of good information for you to have tonight. And so give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in for the roadmap in just 1 second. Let me grab this. All right, let me get this form together. There we go. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for being on. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead right now and share this link. Now, this is something that I am giving to you tonight for free. So please make sure, I want somebody to click that link for me. Make sure that it works. If you're watching on your phone, it may take you off because it's going to take you to somewhere else. But I just want to make sure that you are able to get that download tonight as soon as we are done. All right, as soon as we are done. Hey, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. So, y'all, I want to go ahead and get started because I do not want to take up too much of your time this evening. And I'm fully aware that preseason football starts tonight. And so I want to jump in and I want to share as much information with you as at all possible. So if you have not done so, please make sure you click the subscribe button. All right, make sure you click the subscribe button because I want to make sure that all the things that I'll be posting even more consistently as time goes on, that you do not miss any of it. All right, that you do not miss any of the good information that I'm going to be sharing with us tonight. So here's what I want to do tonight. I want to start off, actually jump right into this and tell you why a session like this is so vitally important to you. All right. First of all, my name is Rufus Williams. I have been in real estate. This is my second full year in real estate, but my background is in collections. I was in collections for about 18 plus years. Of those 18 plus years, about 8 of those years, I was in leadership. So a lot of background in finance, a lot of background in people that have debt. And even as a supervisor, I managed a lot of agents who did not have a lot of information about how to be fiscally responsible, about how to generate wealth. We got to generate wealth. And so over the years, and outside of that, being a pastor, all right, dealing with a lot of people that really aren't fiscally responsible are fiscally educated rather in our communities. And so that's what has given me a passion for wanting to do seminars like this, for wanting to educate and to want to spread the information about how to build wealth, generational wealth, through home ownership. Home ownership is not just about you being able to get the biggest house in your family. I talk to a lot of people, and the first mistake that they make, if they're still renting, is, "Oh, I want a bad house too. I want a big house. I want all of this square footage. I want to look like this. I want to live in this neighborhood." That is not the right mentality. First of all, you want to get the home that you can afford, but you also want to approach home ownership like an investor. It's not about getting the biggest house. It's about getting the house that, one, fits your current lifestyle, the lifestyle that you have possibly in the next 5 years. And then you want to purchase a home that you can develop and grow equity. That home then can be sold or used as an investment you can leverage against to get the home later on that you really home. I believe I have a beautiful home, but this ain't my dream house. All right. This home was built in with equity in mind. All right, with investing in mind. And so that's a little bit about me. What you can expect from this session is you can expect to be educated. One of the things that we're going to jump right into is the Houston real estate market and what that means for you. All right, so you can expect some knowledge. You can expect to learn things like, what should you be doing now as a first-time buyer? All right, you may not be ready to purchase your home yet, but what should you be doing in preparation for home ownership? What are the minimum requirements? What are some of the myths that you hear that possibly have you afraid of home ownership? All right. A lot of people tell me, "Well, I'm scared to buy a home because of the maintenance." Well, your car needs maintenance. You gonna sell your car and ride the bus every day? There are things that you can do to safeguard yourself, even when it comes to maintenance. One of the things is buying brand new builds, because your home is under warranty, full everything for the first year, most things the second year or third year, depending on the builder, and then things like the foundation up to 10 years. You can also purchase home warranties that will cover your AC, that will cover the stove, that will cover the plumbing, that will cover the electrical, all the things that you'd be concerned about. There are warranties that you can buy to cover those. And guess what? Most of them are very affordable. You're talking about one of the ones that I've seen with some of the most coverage that you can get is $500 for the year. $500 for the year is less than $50 a month for these home warranties that you can cover your home. So anyway, first things first, I want to show you proof of this, because I want you to understand that when I give you information like this, that I'm not just pulling it out of the air. The first thing that I want to talk about is the real estate market in Houston. All right, I want to talk about the real estate market in Houston. Give me just a second so I can pull up this first tab for us to look at here. Here's what I want us to see. All right, these are the things that when we're talking about the real estate market. This comes from Houston Association of Realtors, and Realtors gets information like this every single month. Now, this is still from the month of June, because it does take a couple of months to get the information. It does take a couple of months to get the information out, because all things have to be calculated, so forth and so on. But I want you to see where this information is coming from. All right. This shows that when you're talking about the real estate market in Houston being a buyer's market, this is directly what we're talking about. All right. We're talking about the fact that in Houston right now, we're looking at how much inventory that we have. We have 5.4 months worth of inventory. So what that means for you is that if there were no more houses going on the market as of the end of June, again, July's numbers have not come out yet, but at the end of June, beginning of July, when this data came out, if no more inventory was placed on the market, it would take almost 5.5 months to sell all of the homes that are currently on the market. What does that mean? That means that whenever you're looking at the real estate market, we consider a seller's market to be 0 to 3 months. That means in a seller's market, the market favors sellers. That means sellers could potentially get top value for their homes when you have a seller's market, because that means we don't have a lot of inventory. Most people say some people say 4 to 5 months is a balanced market. Most people say 5 months and up is a buyer's market. And a buyer's market, again, what that simply means is the market favors buyers right now. All right. And that's where we're headed at. So if you look at year over year, rather, If you go back to look at June of last year, all right, same time last year, we had 4.5 months of inventory. This month, that has went up over 5. What that means for you is, wait a minute, did I read that wrong? I did. We had 4.2 months of inventory last year. So same time last year, 4.2 months. Now we have 5.4 again at the end of June. That means there is more inventory on the market. More people are selling. Builders are building more homes. So you got a lot of inventory to choose from. So what does that mean for the buyer? That means you, first of all, you have more options. Second of all, here's the big part, you have more negotiation power. All right. All right, sorry about that, y'all. I don't know what happened to my computer that fast, but let's get back where we were. All right, when you have this much inventory, that means you have more negotiating power. That means you can not only negotiate on the price, but here's the bigger thing, because the price doesn't matter as much as you think it is. Going down on the price of a home, $10,000 is probably going to lower your mortgage $20. All right. So yes, we can go down, negotiate 50,000, depending on the price of the house, $20,000 difference. You typically gonna get houses priceless, but here's what matters: the incentives that you're able to get. All right. We can get, all right, you're a homeowner, good deal. All right, you build equity. Okay. All right. So you want to buy a new home based on your home equity. That's a good deal. We can talk about that too. So this part what I'm talking about now will help you even in that. The incentives is what you are able to negotiate. You can negotiate things like having to the seller to cover your closing costs. All right. Closing costs, not the down payment, but the closing costs are typically 2 to 3% of the total price of the home. So if you're looking at a $300,000 home, all right, closing costs could be anywhere between $6,000 to $9,000. That means not only can we negotiate on the price, we can negotiate incentives that will help to pay your closing costs. You get things like them covering your home warranty. You get them to throw in some things that will help you with your home purchase. And most builders right now, because there are so much incentives, are offering you lower interest rates. I told you 3.9. I got several. I got one builder I'm going to see Friday that told me that she has interest rates as low as she got interest rates below 5%. All right. 2 to 3% toward closing costs, appliances, and extra money that I could use to do things like possibly help you get out of your current lease if you're in one. All right. So these are things that we take into consideration when we are looking at the market and when it is an ideal time for you to purchase. All right. Here are the minimum requirements that you are going to need in order to purchase a home. All right. Here are the minimum requirements that you're going to need when you're talking about purchasing a home. You're going to need credit score. All right. For FHA and VA loans. All right. In order for, as a first time buyer, for you to be able to put 3.5% down on an FHA, all right, you need a minimum 580 credit score. You didn't know that, did you? Now, we're not talking about the credit score that you're looking at on Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. Those are credit scores that credit card companies use when they're going to approve you to get a credit card. But we're talking about things like your FICO. You can find out what your mortgage score is on sites like myfico.com. All right, interest rate. Yeah, interest rates can control your buying power, but they don't have to stop you. All right, so we're going to talk more about that in a second. So if you're looking for a conventional loan, all right, conventional loan is going to be a 620 plus credit score. All right, the higher the score, the better the rate. Now, that doesn't mean that you need a 700, but that does mean you want to get at least a 620, 650, 680 when you're talking about certain programs and things of that nature. You need job history. Here's the things. It's not just about credit. You also need at least 2 years of consistent income, typically 2 years of consistent income. And you also need, you can also be self-employed when you talk about income. All right. You need closing costs. Again, your down payment is typically going to be 3 to 5%. You do need some money. Now, here's the thing. You can pull that money out your 401k. A lot of us don't know that. Someone could give you a gift for your down payment. We just have to verify that it is a gift. And the lender would do things would like have you to write a letter, have it notarized to prove that you're getting a gift. Here's the other thing. You can also qualify for certain programs such as zero down. I have a couple of lenders, several lenders actually, that are offering zero down programs. Now, for zero down, you typically do need at least a 620. Sometimes you need a 640 to qualify those programs. There are grants in Houston. One of the grants is called T-Shack. If you're an educator, there are educating programs that don't require a down payment or require minimal down payment. If you're a vet, all right, you're a veteran, you typically can qualify for zero down programs as a VA with a VA loan. Your debt to income ratio. Here's something that's very important. Your debt to income ratio. In other words, when you're talking about debt to income ratio, I'm going to talk more about this in a second when I show you my roadmap to home ownership. Typically, you want a 45% debt to income ratio. What does that mean? That means when you compare your monthly expenses, not your electric, not your appliances, but the things that are going to report on your credit report, such as car note, student loan, credit cards, any loans that you have out. All right. Those type of loans are considered debt. We're not talking about the total amount of the debt. We're talking about what you owe monthly. What is your minimum monthly payment on all of those things? All right. You're talking about your car note. Want to know what your car note is? You can have $1 million in student loan debt. It doesn't matter. What matters is what is your monthly payment, and you compare that to your income to get your debt to income ratio. Most lenders want to see you at 45% debt to income ratio front end. That means before they add your mortgage. All right. Let's talk about a couple of home buying myths. Talk about a couple of home buying myths. All right. Here's one big myth, and I've had several people to tell me this. I need 20% down to buy a home. You do not need 20%. You don't need a 20% down payment. As a first-time home buyer or a next-time home buyer, you do not need 20%. All right. You typically need about 3 to 5% again, and that's without T-Shack. That's without some of the other programs that Texas offers, some of the grants and programs that lenders can do. There's something when you're talking about your down payment called a second lien, where you can basically finance your down payment with your lender. And I'm not a lender. I'm kind of giving you a top view of what this program looks like. You get a second lien, which basically means you're financing your down payment, and you pay that off on a second lien. Sometimes that's like I've seen them be $7,500, maybe depending on the price of the home, a month, that you're basically financing your down payment. Second myth, I need perfect credit. Listen, if you needed perfect credit to buy a home, there would be no homeowners, all right, or very few homeowners. You do not need perfect credit. You can get approved for a loan with as little as a 580 credit score. All right. You do not need perfect credit. Mistakes happen. Now, ideally, I'll tell you this as a realtor, you want the last 12 months to look as clean as possible. All right. You want the last 12 months. So missed payments drag your credit score down. So you want to be 12 months removed, ideally, from your last late payment or missed payment or things going into collections and things of that nature. You do want that it helps you. Now, there are lenders that can work around those things, but ideally, you want that to be the case, but you do not need credit score. Here's a big myth, that renting is always cheaper than buying a home. All right. There are people that are paying in rent right now on average, even for smaller apartments. The smallest rent that I've seen, 15 is very small. 16, 17, 18, $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month. Some people are paying well over 25, 26, $2,700 a month. And guess what? When you're renting, especially renting a home, and you're paying that much, you're simply paying off that owner's mortgage for them. So while we're on the subject of interest rates, when you're renting, you're paying 100% interest. That means none of that is going to contribute to your equity or your investment in that property. All right. So mortgages are going to include, here's the thing that makes your mortgage payment a little bit more. It's not your interest and principal. It's the fact that you're also paying your taxes and insurance monthly in your mortgage payment. So when that tax bill is due, you don't come off of $5,000, $6,000, $9,000 at one time. It comes out of your escrow account because you've been paying it monthly. When your insurance's premium is due, you're not paying that separately. You're not going to send the insurance company $6,000, $7,000 at one time. You've paid that monthly in your well, probably not six. That's extremely high. You got to have a big house for a $6,000 insurance premium. But even if it's $3,000, all right, that's $3,000. $3,000. You're not paying it all at one time. You've already been paying that in your monthly mortgage. All right. So it's not always cheaper. And here's the secret that they don't want you to know. When you are renting, most of the time, you're wondering why, even once you get raises, that you don't see where the money is going. Here's why. Because as you're getting raises, they're raising rent. It's a simple game. These landlords often, I don't want to hate on landlords because I'm going to be one myself, but landlords don't want you to know, people that are controlling the rental market, they don't want you to know that as you getting a raise, your rent is raising. So that's why you never see the money. Now, can your mortgage go up? It can go up because sometimes taxes go up and sometimes taxes go down. Your insurance could possibly go up, right? But then also, you can write off portions of the interest you pay on your mortgage loan every day. There is no amount of your rent that you can write off. You don't get nothing on your taxes for paying rent. But when you have interest that you're paying on a mortgage loan, that's something that you can help to get that money back on your taxes. All right. I should wait until the market, the real estate market crashes. That is a horrible idea. Why? Because people have been saying the market was going to crash again since 2021, and home prices continue to rise where you're waiting on the market to crash. All right. The market crash is not the place you want to buy your home. Now, if you can benefit from refinancing during those times when interest rates drop, but there is no telling because we've been expecting interest rates to drop dramatically at least the last 2 years. And we've seen some decreases, but there has not been a dramatic drop off. All right. If the real estate market crashes, not only is the real estate market crashing, the economy is crashed, period. And you do not want that to happen. Lastly, pre-qualification equals final approval. Listen, I do have very skilled lenders. This one is kind of, I do have skilled lenders. Well, let's go back. A pre-qualification is not a pre-approval. Pre-qualification looks at things like how much you make, how much you want to purchase for, and very top level things, and give you a pre-qualification. What you want is a pre-approval. I have lender partners that once they give you a pre-approval, you can take that to the bank and buy a house. Give you a scenario. One of the buyers that I closed with last month, she got a pre-approval. I think we got her pre-approval back in May. She called me hysterical and crying sometime toward the end of June. No, it had to be early June. Once we were under contract with her home, saying, "Oh my God, Rufus, I don't know what I'm going to do. Something just popped up on my credit and it dropped my credit score 40 points." I said, "Don't worry. We've got you pre-approved." My lender partner, because we had already gotten a pre-approval and pulled her credit, we used the credit report that she got approved with in May. So the thing hitting her credit in June dropped her credit score. It didn't even matter because we already had her pre-approved. And that's the reason why most realtors, I do for sure, when we start the process, we don't go out and look for homes. We don't start looking at stuff like that. I don't send you lists. The first thing we do is get a pre-approval, because the lender, the getting a pre-approval shows us your buying power. And it in most cases like this one, if we already have a hard pull on your credit, we can use the same credit report, typically up to 60 and 90 days. All right. So if something pops back up, it don't matter. You good, because we already got your credit pull. Lastly, what should I be doing now? And I'm gonna cover this thing, and then I'm gonna give you a sneak peek at my home buyer, my roadmap that you can use. You can edit these things to put in your own price, your own credit goals, monthly saving goals, things of that nature. I have that for you. I've already put the link in the comments, so scroll back up there. Matter of fact, I'll drop it in again right now, so you'll have this, and you can download your copy of my roadmap for buyers, my roadmap to home ownership. What should you be doing now? The first thing you need to do, if you're ready, you need to get a pre-approval. Even if you don't think you're quite ready yet, get a pre-approval. Here's the fear. Here's another myth. Getting a pre-approval is going to drop my credit score dramatically, and I'm not going to be able to buy. A pre-approval from the bank sometimes does not impact your score at all. Other times it may drop your credit score 2 to 3 points. It is not going to kill you, but getting a pre-approval, even if you're not quite ready, shows you maybe what you need to do to get prepared. Maybe you think you need to pay off $10,000 worth of debt, and that pre-approval will show you that you only need to pay off $2,000. All right. Maybe you're not ready yet. I've had a buyer that didn't think that, same buyer that I just told you about, she thought she needed another year. We got her pre-approval, and she was shocked to know that we were able to start looking for her homes that same weekend. All right, so get with me. Let me connect you with one of my lender partners. First thing you want to do, you want to get you a pre-approval. Other things you want to know is your budget. My roadmap to home ownership is going to help you to know your budget. All right, how much money you saved, how much money you may need to save. You can be, if you want to own a home, you need to save you some money. Even there's always going to be out-of-pocket expenses, even with zero down, such as you always want to get your own third-party inspection. You're going to need your earnest money. The earnest money is the money you have to pay in order to have the house under contract. It's a down payment to the down payment, right? It's your deposit to show that, yes, I'm serious about this, and I'm going to get this house financed, and I just need, we want to go into credit. So you're going to need at least a few $1,000s, all right? Work with a realtor who can guide you, all right? That part is already done for you, because you know me, and I can help you out with this process, all right? Don't wait for perfect. Plan to proceed. All right. Plan for prepare. Do not wait for the perfect time to purchase a home. Let's get you started today. So lastly, as promised, I want to go over my home buyer roadmap. I want to go over my roadmap that you can use. All right, and here it is. All right, I am proud of this. I've been working on trying to put this thing together for the longest, and finally got it all put together. And I'm so excited, because I believe that this is going to help a lot of people that may not be ready to buy right now. It's going to help a lot of people to prepare to get ready to buy in the next 3 months, 6 months, or even if it takes you a year. This is a tool that is ideal for you to be able to use to make sure that you have a plan and you just ain't praying. All right. I am a man of faith. I believe in the power of prayer, but you need to pray and have a plan. All right. Y'all know who this handsome guy is. That's me. All right. Here's the first thing, dude. Give me 2 or 3 minutes and I'll have you off. I promise you. Setting your home ownership goal. All right. The target price. You can enter this on this form. All right. All you got to do is go to the top here where you can, there you go. And you can enter your information. So what is your target price? All right. Be realistic with that. Most people's target price for first-time buyers is $300 to $350. Some people can afford a lot more, so I don't want to limit you to that. But you want to be ideal. And one of the reasons why you want to get a pre-approval again is because that will show you what your budget, what your target price should be. All right. So you can fill in all of these things. Estimated down payment. Again, we went over that. You can enter all of that there so you can look at it. What's your total savings goal? All right. How much money do you need to save? All right. From there, you can build out a monthly saving plan and you can track how you're doing. All right. You have your target savings and your actual savings. So you can see that my goal for the month of January, for instance, may have been, I want to say $500. And then you can go here and say, I didn't save 500, I saved 450. All right. You can go to the next month, same thing, so forth and so on. It's kind of self-explanatory. So you can not only set the goal, but you can keep track. So here's a total amount that you want to save, and then here's it in more detail so that you can follow this roadmap to get you into home ownership. This debt to income ratio page is very important. It gives you how to calculate what your debt to income ratio is, gives the explanation there, and then tells you what is your total monthly debt payment. Again, that's not light bill, cell phone, things of that nature. We're talking about things that are going to appear on your credit report. All right. Things that you had to get approved for: car note, student loan payment, uh, uh, any of the loans you have, credit card debt, and things like that. It will show you maybe some debts that you need to get rid of. All right. Here's again, debt payoff strategy. All right. Debt payoff strategy. So you can list the account, the balance, the minimum payment. All right. How you're going to pay off the plan. I wish I had time to talk about the snowball effect. I don't. We'll have to do that for another live. And then the notes that you need to include for that. All right. This tells you about credit tracking. It tells you how to increase your score. I have a lot of knowledge with telling you how to improve your credit score. All right. Your actual credit score, your credit scores. Again, myfico.com is the best source to go to find your mortgage score. All right. Here's another thing. You don't have to worry about all three scores. The lender is going to utilize, in most cases, your middle score. All right. So if you have an 800, a 750, and the last score is a 500, 500 don't matter. They're going to use that middle score. All right. Or some lenders even offer to use a blended score where they take an average of the score and use that score in order to give you your home. All right. Do not make your target score 700. 700. There's nothing that you can get with a 700 that you can't get with a 650. All right. So you don't need to have the highest score possibly. All right. You need to use the middle score, and we can help you to get there. All right. Here's your monthly spending budget. This is what a lot of people, a lot of you that may be on right now, this is what you need to do. You need to set budgets. A budget is not about putting a tight squeeze on your money. A budget is about understanding where your money is going and maybe making some adjustments. So you got your rent. If you currently own a home, that'll be your mortgage, groceries, transportation, gas, things of that nature that you have to do. All right. Debt payments. You calculated that in the earlier slide. Savings. All right. Miscellaneous fund. Put that in your budget. If you know you like to eat out, include money for eating out in your budget. That don't mean stop eating out. That means set a budget and just stick to it. All right. If your eating out budget is $500, you probably can reduce that to $200. There's $300 that you can save every month just by setting the budget and sticking with it. All right. You like to go out to the movies. You like to go eat crawfish. All right. You like to, I don't know, you like to go to happy hours, whatever you like to do. Here's what you budgeted. Here's your actual, and then those notes that you can use to help guide yourself. Okay. We talked about why a pre-approval matters. All right. We talked about why you need to utilize a trusted realtor. All right. We talked about education, things like this seminar, things of that nature. So you'll be able to read all of these things yourself. And then here's key contact information. Here's your realtor. All right. All of my contact information is here. All right. Loan officer. I can connect you with one of my lender partners. You can put their information here and other contact information. I have people that I can refer you to for the home inspection. I don't have a real estate attorney, but I can find you one. I can definitely connect you with an insurance agent. I have a broker that will shop around your insurance for you, not just for home ownership. She'll shop around renter's insurance if you currently have that, and your car insurance. So if you need that information, reach out to me. I'll gladly connect with them to save you some money. All right. So That is all. I planned on being on about 30 minutes. We're at 35 minutes. I really hope that you guys have benefited from this. Please make sure you subscribe. But then not only subscribe, once this is over, send this information to somebody else that you know that could benefit from this information. Forward them the link so they can get their own roadmap to home ownership. And then make sure you are utilizing this information. All right. I will follow up with you. If you have any questions or concerns about how to fill this out or any other questions for me, thank you guys for your time. Again, please make sure that you have subscribed, share this information, download your guide, and you guys have an amazing night. Thank you so much for your time.